Okay, so in this lesson, I want to share with you two of the amplifiers that we use in the quantum uh, transcendency, quantum energy. So these might be obvious to you, but they're important to kind of really dig deep. The first one is movement. Okay, uh, so movement of not only chi or energy, but also the movement of your body. So let me explain. Um, so if you look at a depressed person, they're kind of moving, you know, depressed, and movement of the face is depressed. On the other hand, if you look at a happy person, you know, their face is upturned, they're upright, they're moving energetically, happily. So the emotion is making them move in a certain way. It also works in the opposite direction. Um, the movement you instill or incorporate makes you feel the emotion. Okay, so it's a two-way street. So we use that knowledge to move a certain way to get that feeling. So that's a big part of what we're doing. Now, when I'm working with I've worked with a lot of people, and movement is difficult for a lot of people. Um, but no fear, because uh, you can not move at all, because we're just talking about movement of energy. So you can just sit there and let the energy flow through you. It's a meditative practice. It's To me, it's very powerful to do that. Um, but it is a little bit restrictive, but in that restriction, there's still a great deal of power. So there's nothing wrong with that. So if you don't like to move, you can do meditate. You can just sit and let the energy flow through you. So don't worry about it. But I do want to talk about movement in general. So and why people have a lot of difficulty with it. Because when we're growing up, as we get older, we're told, don't move around so much. Stop moving. Stop. Sit down at that table or sit in class and just listen to what's going on. So we're fed a lot of information or a lot of reactions about don't move. So that's built into our uh, culture of education, and culture of sitting at the dinner table. So that's baked into us. It's also been denigrated on a societal level. For example, I was over at a Portland club downtown. It's a very popular place. It's got a restaurant and big club. They hold dances there. And I was walking inside and I was looking at, they have these windows of memorabilia. And in there, they had these newspaper articles about how the club was closed down back in the it was closed down because jazz was being outlawed. Jazz dancing was being outlawed. Okay, so that movement was being outlawed. Um, and then there's another, I was just watching a video on the Bee Gees. The Bee Gees, uh, so there was this whole disco movement and people were happily dancing to disco. And then all of a sudden, uh, disco, there was a backlash against disco. Disco sucks, and I mean, there's a number of reasons for that, but disco sucks, and death to disco. So society kind of shut down that avenue for happiness in a way, um, and and then when we're talking about transcendency, which I mentioned before, transcendency has been shut down, has been denigrated, has been laughed at um, throughout the ages. And I mention because the it's only been reserved for secret societies uh, because they don't want people to learn how to um, liberate themselves, right? They don't want us to become liberated because they'd rather us be part of the what is generally called the slave free range slaves is what I've heard somebody say. So, but you know, their society really can't stop it now. There's nothing stopping us from liberating ourselves and finding our own true happiness, true purpose. So, anyways, um, getting back to movement. So, breath work is, well, I'll give you 3 amplifiers. So, the first one is movement, the second one is breath work, which helps with the movement. Um, uh, a little bit more about dancing. So, dancing that has been accepted by our society is generally dancing where you have to learn you have to learn the moves, you have to learn steps, you have to, you know, even swing dancing, you got to, which I love, you have to learn how to move your partner around, so there's classes to take. So when you're dancing, you know, you're using your brain to figure out, okay, what steps I'm doing. And so transcendency, you're not using your brain, you're actually allowing your brain to access information. So the quantum movement that I'm teaching is, you don't memorize any steps, um, you don't have to learn. What you do learn is how to intuitively move, um, how to allow your body to intuitively move. So in the quantum field around us, there is waves of energy. So, and this is the 3rd amplifier that I want to talk about today, which is sound. Okay, so we use sound to create waves of energy. And the best sound. This is really why this is more of a Western style transcendency, because the best sound, you know, people use drums, people used India music from India. What I use is Western music. Okay, is music that rock and roll stars, EDM, um, psychedelic music. So what this music is doing is creating waves of energy, and so we're just allowing ourselves to tune into these waves of energy and just kind of ride the waves and just see what happens, see where it takes us. And some of the music that I love to play is very moody, mysterious, cosmic. I can describe this music in many, many different ways, which the music will allow me to feel emotions. So a great benefit of doing this work is that you will experience all kinds of emotions, but you'll learn how to master these emotions, or kind of, you know, you might have a blip of anger, but you'll learn how to master that anger and kind of shift it into an energy field where you can gain power from it. So, so that's kind of an introduction to quantum movement. It's what do I have written there? Intuitive movement that is initiated by sound. So, which gives you the feeling of happiness, bliss, transcendency, but most of all, freedom, because there's nothing more free than allowing yourself to move the way that you really want to move. That is total freedom. So, anyways, I hope that helps. And yeah, check out my course. I hope you'll join. It'll be a fantastic journey. I promise you that. And hope to see you in the course. Thanks. Bye.